Okay, so it's been a little bit since I've last uploaded, to say the least. I plan on getting back into the swing of things. I want to do that by starting off with a little something I've never done before, which is a sports video on the Bucks. Basically, what I want to go over here is talk about the regular season a little bit, talk a little bit about the playoffs, but talk about a couple things that I really think this team could do in the offseason to help this team really contend for a championship. So first off, let's go over the regular season just a little bit. Lots of pluses, lots of minuses. It was if you're a Bucks fan, this was probably the most roller coaster season we've had. I don't know that I can remember. I'm going to be totally honest. I haven't really watched much of the Bucks before Giannis got on the team. Things that I liked. Getting Damian Lillard. First off, I think it was the correct move from the front office, even if it means sacrificing Jrue Holiday. And I'm going to tell you why. Jrue was, of course, the better player on defense, and the Bucks did suffer from his absence in the regular season and the playoffs. For those of you who like to sit here and say, oh, look at Jrue now. He's playing, for the Celtics in the finals. First off, that team is loaded. That team is absolutely stacked. Getting Dame on this team was key for several reasons, and I like that. I like the Dame acquisition for several reasons. First off, your offense, the floor spacing with Giannis, everyone knows that on paper, the two-man game with Dame and Giannis can be one of the best ever. Obviously, this season, we didn't really get to see that in the playoffs. We got to see it in the regular season a little bit. It was effective. But as far as seeing it in playoff basketball, it sucked. We missed out on it. The other reason why I like getting Dame over Jrue Holiday is because of a little something that happened back in the 2022 playoffs, 2023 playoffs. I don't know how to think about it. We played the Miami Heat, round one, got scorched by Jimmy Butler, and who was the guy who was defending him? Jrue Holiday. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Damian Lillard can play just as good a defense as Jrue Holiday and Jimmy, but what I am going to say is that Damian Lillard is a much better offensive player and a much more reliable offensive player than Jrue ever was when he was on the Bucks. All that in mind, obviously losing Jrue hurts. Obviously, I'd like to keep him, but at the end of the day, we got Dame. I think that was a good thing. I think it was an upgrade in the long run. And I think next season we should be seeing the fruits of that. I might be wrong. Some other things that were pluses during this regular season. We played the Celtics well. We played the Knicks well as well, and as well as the 76ers. All the top teams in the East we were competitive with. That is thanks to the roster construction. That is thanks to the Milwaukee Bucks just being a good team. That's thanks to having Giannis on your team. That's thanks to having guys like Damian Lillard on your team. We had the Celtics benching their players at halftime in the regular season. That doesn't mean anything come playoffs. I realize that. But to me, as a Bucks fan, seeing that happen, that was worth something. Some of the negatives during the regular season. Our record against the Pacers. It sucked. We went 1-5 against them in the regular season. It was a nightmare. The Pacers match up well against us. The Pacers play a style of offense that did not match up well against our lackluster defense at all in the regular season. The defense is something that we're going to have to address in the offseason, and I obviously have a couple ideas for that. The Adrian Griffin hire at the head coach position, and then firing him halfway-ish through the season, getting Doc Rivers. I don't love it. I really don't love it, if I'm going to be honest. But seeing as Griffin was the guy that lost the locker room, according to all reports, it seems to be the right move, at least for now. We'll see what happens come playoff time. Now, how the playoffs went around this year, obviously the Bucks lost to Indiana in 6. And it's impossible to at least not attribute a lot of this to the injuries that the Bucks star players had. Giannis didn't even make an appearance in that series. Damian Lillard played hobbled every game except for maybe game 1, right? Chris Middleton played really, really well, but even you could tell he was feeling it just a little bit, especially when he's having to carry the load and just coming off an injury towards the end of the regular season like how he was. Overall, though, given what the Bucks had to deal with in terms of injuries, given what the Bucks had to deal with in terms of just Indiana playing hot and playing well and being favored, I think they actually did a pretty okay job against them. I would have loved to see them win that series. I think that was a winnable series. It's disappointing that they lost, but with the injuries that you had going on, with what you were given, with just how the Bucks performed overall, I didn't hate it. I really didn't. I thought it was decent. I actually kind of liked the playoffs from the Bucks' point of view, even though we lost to Indiana. It sucks, and it's not any fun to see. But I kind of want to see us play that team again in the playoffs. And who knows, maybe we'd lose against them again. I don't know, but I think that I'd like our chances if we're healthy. That's all I'm going to say. All this being said, I think the Bucks still, if they're healthy, if they can make it past Indiana, which I think they would be able to if they were healthy, this team was probably the one team, other than maybe the Knicks, that would have given Boston a run for their money in the playoffs this season. It's disappointing to not even see them try. And it's honestly, as a Bucks fan, it's disappointing to not even see the Knicks get an honest attempt at taking out Boston either. Watching Boston make the finals this season feels inevitable, but it also feels like they didn't really have to do anything to get there. I would have, even if the Milwaukee would have lost against Boston, I still would have liked them see them play in a 7-game series. I still would have liked to see New York give them a shot in a 7-game series. Having the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals, as we all saw, just proved to be kind of a joke. Here's what I would do if I'm the Bucks front office this offseason. This is going to sound controversial for those of you that love this player, but I think we need to get rid of Brook Lopez. The reason being, he's just too slow. There's ways to fix that with Brook being on the team, but as it is right now, I was watching them play Indiana in their playoff matchup, round 1. Brook cannot guard the perimeter. Brook sucks at guarding the perimeter. You have to find a way to either help him out or you have to get rid of him entirely. I like Brook. I think Brook's a great fit for this Bucks team. I don't really want to see Brook go, but Brook is not going to be getting any younger. Brook is not someone that you're going to be able to rely on for the next 5-6 seasons to constantly be there and constantly perform. So I think just given his contract, I think that finding a way to trade him would be the play. That being said, we still would need to have a guy that would fill the role of a rim protector, fill the role of a defensive big that we don't need to have Giannis carrying the load on. I'm going to tell you right now who that guy is. It's Nick Claxton from the Nets. If we can get Claxton, I really like this team if you have Nick Claxton. I really like this team. The one thing you're missing out with as far as Brook goes is his shooting ability. Brook can spread the floor really well on the offensive side. That is, and he's going to do it much better than Claxton will. That much is certain. I don't think it's necessarily required in order for the Bucks to have success in the postseason to keep having Brook as an offensive floor spacer. You have Dame, you have Chris Middleton. If both those guys are healthy, along with Giannis, you have all the spacing you really kind of need, especially now that you have AJ Green, a rookie who really performed quite well from beyond the arc. I think that dude's going to probably light it up next season if we give him a shot. We will see. The other thing that I see that I know a lot of people are going to be talking about as well with the Bucks, if you can get a guy, a defensive perimeter player that has a little bit of shooting, or at least can lock down someone on the offensive side, in theory, would be fantastic. It's just another a defensive-minded perimeter player that you don't need to rely on him to run the offense with. The perfect fit, and you see this quite often if you're a Bucks fan, the perfect fit for this team is Alex Caruso. If we could get Alex Caruso on this team, I don't even care if you keep Brook. That's the perfect fit. Now, that being said, I still think Brook is going to be a little bit of a liability in the playoffs. I still think that getting rid of him now might be in the Bucks' best interest just because, once again, he's not getting any younger. And, as he's a 7-footer, as these guys age, especially the 7-footers, they're more injury prone. Now, in a perfect world, we can get both Nick Claxton and Alex Caruso. I don't expect that to happen, but my God, if that did, I'd be the happiest Bucks player on the planet. There is a lot of other players you can get aside from Alex Caruso that can still fill that role. Think of dudes like Matisse Thybulle. Now I'm drawing a blank because I'm recording in front of a video, but there's all kinds. I can list off. I'll probably put it on screen, a couple of these players that you can fill for cheaper than Drew that can still play really good defense. If this team can stay healthy, if this team can get Claxton, if this team can get Caruso, this team is a championship contender. There's a couple of things I would like to also see the Bucks do. I'd like to see Bobby Portis signed to a little bit of a smaller contract. I'd like to see Pat Connaughton probably just get traded. I mean, I love the guy. He was instrumental in the 21 finals. I don't know if he's the kind of guy that the Bucks can rely on to win a championship anymore, unless he's really deep in the rotation. Quite frankly, this last season was not a great one for him. He wasn't the worst player. He wasn't Jordan Poole out there, but he really wasn't the Pat Connaughton of old. That's about all I got for this video. I just really wanted to, talk a little bit about what I think this team should do in the offseason. What they will do is, of course, a whole nother story. But once again, if we can get this team healthy come postseason, if we have a Nick Claxton, if we have a guy like Alex Caruso on this team, and keep the rest of the roster more or less the same, this team is going to be the hardest team to beat in a 7-game series. I'm just telling you right now. Of course, staying healthy is going to be huge. We can't have Dame, Giannis both out. I mean, obviously this is with those two healthy in mind. You can't win a playoff series with your two best players out, especially, the Milwaukee Bucks. Their depth is not like how it used to be, it would appear, anymore at least. And they really need to find a way to get that defense back on track. And I think dudes like Claxton, I think dudes like Caruso, or at least a player like Caruso, are the answer. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Once again, like I said, I plan on uploading more often now. Thank you.